What does it feel like when you're actually on the ice?
I have had moments in practice where it feels like you're flying, and it feels like the most amazing experience. You feel the wind blowing through your hair. For like what little hair I have, I feel it blowing through it. I still have those doubts of maybe not being ready, or maybe I can't do it. But I try to think of this like alter ego of myself, that I'm not Adam from Every Day in Practice. I'm Adam Rippon.
Blink, and you might miss him. It can be hard to keep up with Adam Rippon, not just on the ice rink, but during 2018, when he's turned from an Olympian into a political campaigner.
Yes, of course I've faced backlash, but I think that's why it's important to still speak out. I know as a gay athlete, you hear a lot like, why is it important? I don't need to know that. But if you have this reaction to somebody's coming out story, there's obviously still something wrong. And that's why it's important to share, because it shouldn't be a big deal, but there's still a kid in a small town who considers it a big deal, who's afraid to come out to their parents because they think that their parents are going to kick them out of their home.
In February 2018, Rippon became the first openly gay American to win a medal at the Winter Olympics. He says that coming out 3 years ago not only changed the way he feels, but the way he skates.
I realized that I didn't need to tone it down. I didn't need to amplify anything, but I needed to be who I was. Being out, I was authentically myself. I was laying it all out there. It was the best version of me as a competitor.
And since coming out, you feel it's made you a better performer and skater?
Oh, totally. Since coming out, I'm a completely different competitor. I think the one thing that changed was I became so confident in who I was, and I felt a huge sense of strength. I sometimes think like, why didn't I come out earlier? Because truly my life got better and I became so much more comfortable in my own skin. I learned my lessons, and I took every setback and every disappointment, and I took every time I felt less than, and I learned from it, and I made sure that I would never feel like that again. And so I don't regret not coming out earlier, but if I could talk to my younger self, I'd be like, hey, sister, get it together and just do it.
He hit the headlines during the 2018 Winter Olympics for publicly criticising Vice President Mike Pence. He accused Pence of funding gay conversion therapy, something the Vice President denied, and spoke out against the Trump administration's record on LGBTQ rights. His stance won him admirers, but also provoked a backlash, including from President Trump's own son.
You famously spoke out against Mike Pence and you refused to go to the White House. Do you stand by that, or do you wish you'd gone there to talk about LGBTQ rights?
I still stand by the actions that I took. Mike Pence led the US delegation at the Olympic Games, and I was very vocal about how I felt like it was a poor choice. The President of the United States can tweet out how members of the trans community won't be able to serve in the military with no basis and without talking to anybody. And while that still goes on, those people are still in danger. And I felt before the biggest competition of my life, it was a waste of time and a waste of energy to meet with somebody like him. Not going to the White House, I don't regret it at all. You know, I could channel my energy into something that's really important and that can help make a change, rather than waste it on somebody who's a buffoon.
It was that type of criticism against the Trump administration that spun Rippon's career into a different direction. Now he's a voice for the LGBTQ community and is rallying people to get out and vote.
I mean, Hillary had a number of celebrity backers and she still lost. Do you worry a bit about a backlash that the Democrats and the elites and the celebrities, they're not my kind of people?
You know what? I have two things to say. One, I'm from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I am not elite, and at my very core and in my heart, I am white trash. Yes, there were a lot of celebrities that backed Hillary Clinton in the presidential election, and she lost. But I think that it's so important that we still speak out and we take action, and you help inspire people to get out there and take action as well. I see and I think about the things going on in US politics, and it feels scary. It feels like a lot of people from a lot of minority groups aren't being heard. It feels like they're being pushed aside. And I think one thing now is that this has really pushed a lot of people to action. And I think that you see a lot of people not standing for the intolerance. You see a lot of people not standing for the blatant racism. And you don't see people standing for the homophobia anymore. You see allies speaking out. You see allies taking action. You see people within the community standing together.
You did an interview with NPR recently, and there was an interesting line you said where it was, I made sure that I was skating well so that I was a good representation of my community. Do you feel that there is a pressure in some ways that if you are going to be an outspoken LGBTQ person, you have to sort of be your best, not slip up?
100%. I was really inspired to come out after 2014 because there was this really big anti-gay propaganda law in Russia where the Olympics were happening in 2014. And I thought about it and I was like, it's really important for me to come out, but I was like, well, I need to start skating well, and I need to start practicing, and I need to be an amazing athlete, because I can't be like, hey, I didn't qualify for the Olympic team, I'm skating really bad, and I'm gay. I was like, I need to pull it together. I was focused on being my best every single day because I owed it to my younger self. I owed it to my younger self who had a dream, and I owed it to my younger self who, when they went to school, they only had one friend. And that's why I decided to come out, and that's why I knew that I needed to be at my very best.
Do you ever tire of that being part of the narrative of you? You know, this idea that when someone comes out, that is the story and that's the focus. Do you wish that some days you could just talk about skating or something else?
You know what? I hope that everybody can look at my story and they can see it in a general sense. That I didn't feel like I belonged when I grew up. I felt uncomfortable in my own skin. And when I finally just got rid of all of the dust and all of the cobwebs, and I saw through it, and I just owned who I was, and I became confident in my own decisions, that's when I saw my greatest potential. And I hope that that's the story that people see, because it's the most important thing I learned. And it's the most liberating and the most powerful and the most amazing experience that you can go through, because it's when you become this person that you didn't even know that you had the opportunity to become.